Welcome to Lumenverse, where the night is your gateway to magic. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what time is it where you're listening from right now? I'd love to know. And if you enjoy tonight's journey, please like this video and subscribe so you never miss a story. Now, close your eyes, get comfortable, and let's begin. The rain continued its steady, soothing rhythm as the night deepened. The soft pitter-patter of drops against the forest floor blending harmoniously with the natural sounds of the woods. The air was alive with the scent of pine and damp earth, carrying an ancient, almost familiar quality that seemed to connect this moment to countless others that had come before. Arendor's every step was measured, the tip of his staff gently tapping against the dense carpet of lichen that carpeted the ground. His ancient robes swayed softly, the fabric rustling in time with the breeze. Leora, ever alert, followed close behind, her lantern held aloft, casting a warm glow upon the damp forest floor. It was obvious to both of them that this forest held secrets as old as time itself. The trees that towered above them appeared ancient, their branches disappearing into the misty veil that clung to the treetops. Leora closed her eyes, her keen ears catching the faint but clear sound of tiny glass bells dancing through the air. She listened intently, trying to pinpoint the exact source of the delicate tinkling. Arendor, noticing her concentration, turned back slightly, his eyes glinting with anticipation. "Ah, do you hear it?" he asked quietly. Leora nodded, her attention on the distant sound. "Yes," she replied. "Lanterns. Does that mean?" As Arendor and Leora moved silently through the forest, the sound of tiny glass bells grew louder and more distinct. Soon they found themselves standing in the middle of a large clearing, where dozens of lanterns had been hung from tall wooden poles, illuminating the area with a warm, flickering light. The delicate flame danced within the confines of its shelter, the soft glow of the glass casting long shadows over the damp grass. The village itself was modest, with 20 or so cottages nestled side by side, their thick, thatched roofs glistening with moisture. A pleasant scent of freshly baking bread, mingled with the crisp, wet fragrances of herbs, hung out to dry as the pair walked between the quaint dwellings. Those who emerged to meet them offered silent greetings, their voices barely above a whisper. In this tranquil atmosphere, even the children seemed to sense the need to maintain the hushed atmosphere, each person respectfully bowing their head in silent acknowledgement of the newcomers. An elderly woman approached the travelers, her gray hair concealed beneath a humble wool hood. With a warm smile, she offered a basket filled with freshly baked loaves of bread, wrapped in soft cloth. Arendor graciously accepted one of the loaves and replied, "Indeed, our journey has been long, but it was the lights that guided us here." The woman continued, "Ah, the lanterns. They aren't meant for us. They're here for the lost souls in the forest, those whose paths have strayed. Tonight, they mark the places where the boundary between life and death fades." The evening grew darker, the rain continued to fall, softly tapping against the glass enclosures that protected the lantern flames from the elements. Arendor looked over at Leora, a decision clear in his eyes. "We'll be staying here tonight," he declared, and the words seemed to settle comfortably in the air. They were guided to a cozy guest house, situated on the edge of the meadow, its glass-paned windows glowing warmly from within. The room was filled with the sweet scent of both pine resin and freshly baked bread, measured by flickering flames and soft whispers of rain, seemed to slip away. As Leora surrendered to the embrace of sleep within the quiet guest house, her thoughts danced like distant fireflies, carried on the cool night air, and she imagined what could be seen within the lantern light. Each breath became more gentle, a rhythm in tandem with the soothing pattern of falling rain and flickering firelight. Slowly, she sank into the embrace of sleep, where the boundary between consciousness and the dream world dissolved. The rain continued, its steady rhythm creating an almost musical cadence, with Arendor's staff tapping against the damp ground. Leora followed behind, moving with silent steps and a flickering lantern. Each movement caused the golden light to dart across the path ahead, bringing to life the glistening leaves, moisture-soaked roots, and dewdrops suspended from branches. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath, as if listening or waiting. As the pair entered the meadow, the lanterns appeared, dotting the landscape in a gentle display of soft golden light. Each individual lantern was distinctive, taking a different shape and style from the others. Some lanterns were spherical, made of glass, while others bore more intricate designs crafted from rustic wood. Despite all the variety, however, the flames remained consistent, undiminished by the falling rain, as though even nature respected the subtle beauty of the softly glowing lights. As Arendor and Leora were led through the tranquil village, they observed scenes of quiet contentment. Neat wooden fences surrounded meticulously tended gardens, where herbs and blooms thrived despite the weight of the raindrops clinging to their leaves. The chickens tucked away in their cozy coops, their feathers fluffed to retain what little warmth they could find. Eventually, they arrived at the guest house, greeted by an inviting glow from the hearth that seemed to wrap around them like a familiar, long-forgotten comfort. The woman, now seated near the crackling hearth, began to speak of the significance of Lantern Night. "Each of these lanterns you see, they have a purpose," she explained gently, her voice blending with the soft sounds of the fire. "They're more than just lights. They're beacons. They reach out to those who wander, both in this world and beyond. Some are the souls of those who lost their way within our realm. Others, though." She paused, her gaze drifting towards the rain-soaked window. Leora's curiosity led her to ask, her gaze fixed on the crackling hearth's embers. "Have you ever witnessed these lost souls?" The old woman nodded solemnly, replying softly, "Only in brief flashes. A fleeting shadow amongst the trees, a spectral face etched in the lantern glass. But their presence is transient. The lantern light grants them respite, for all they crave is tranquility." The rain continued to patter steadily against the windows, the rhythmic sound serving as a silent agreement. As the night deepened, Arendor suggested a nighttime foray through the lush meadow, blanketed in a soft, misty veil. The golden glow of the swaying lanterns created a soothing effect, blurring the line between real and imagined. As Leora and Arendor walked, they noticed glimpses of apparitions within the mist, a tall figure leaning on a staff, a young child holding an unseen companion's hand. "They're here," Leora whispered, her voice filled with anticipation. Arendor nodded in agreement. On a night like this, the path is never left deserted. Upon their return to the guest house, the kind keeper had prepared a soothing pot of herbal tea, the fragrant steam rising lazily from their mugs and carrying the delicate scents of mint, lemon balm, and an elusive floral essence. Leora and Arendor found themselves by the window, taking slow, deliberate sips from their mugs. Their gazes were drawn to the swaying lanterns outside, and now, it seemed as though the lights moved in rhythmic synchronization with the rain. Arendor then began to recant ancient tales of lost kingdoms, where rivers sang lullabies and forests whispered the names of those who wandered within their. The sun rose on the following day, the soft drizzle continued to fall, the rhythmic sound of raindrops filling the air with its gentle song. The villagers were already busy attending to their gardens, ensuring the lanterns were secure, and laying small offerings of bread and flowers beneath them. Leora and Arendor ventured into the forest once again, traversing a narrow pathway lined with lush ferns. They found solitary lanterns tucked in among the trees, the glow they cast illuminating the earthy ground and highlighting the delicate veins in the leaves. At one such lantern, Leora paused. For a fleeting moment, she perceived the presence. The night of the lantern blessing arrived, and the villagers gathered in the meadow, their fingers holding onto slender candles, shielding the flickering flames from the ceaseless rain. In a slow and deliberate manner, the villagers formed a circle, placing their candles into the empty lanterns, gradually surrounding the area with a radiant halo of golden light. The soft murmur of traditional songs filled the air, their melodic tones rising and falling harmoniously with the constant sound of raindrops. Although Leora was unfamiliar with the lyrics, the lulling cadence resonated deep within her, as if it were a lost memory revived for this special occasion. Inside the cozy confines of the guest house, the soft glow of a dying hearth illuminated the room, casting warm beams upon the walls. The persistent yet softened rainfall painted a tranquil backdrop to the quiet atmosphere. Leora found herself tucked within the comfort of her bed, wrapped beneath a thick quilt, while a slight snore emanated from the adjacent room where Arendor rested quietly, his staff resting patiently beside him, her senses heightened by the ambient noise. She focused on the rhythmic sounds that filled the air, the gentle creak of lantern frames, the melodic patter of the lingering rain, and the soft rhythm of. When Leora awoke in the morning, her senses were greeted by the soft, pale glow of the rain-dappled window. The rain's rhythm had shifted, transforming from a heavy downpour to a softer, lulling sound, as if the clouds were releasing a collective sigh. She pulled the comforting quilt even closer, her gaze fixated on the raindrops tracing intricate paths down the glass panes, the tiny droplets reflecting tiny flecks of light as they fell. The tantalizing aroma of freshly baked bread wafted upwards from the kitchen below, its warmth beckoning her to rise. Leora descended the stairs to find Erindor sitting beside the hearth, cradling a steaming mug of a drink with a distinct and pleasant aroma of cinnamon and honey. A plate of freshly baked bread lay nearby, their golden tops glistening with a generous touch of butter. They partook in their morning meal with unhurried leisure, a repast where time seemed to take a back seat, the steady rhythm of rain serving as a gentle companion to their tranquil atmosphere. The narrow path wended its way through the landscape, accompanied by wildflowers that bowed their heads beneath the gentle drizzle. Each flower's petals sparkled with the reflected image of the sky, its blue hue mirrored within the tiny droplets that clung to them. Birdsong resonated softly from the mist, its notes gentle and subdued. Leora's boots sank slightly into the damp soil, leaving behind temporary imprints that were soon filled with water. An ancient stone bridge loomed before them, its surface covered in a dense and verdant coat of moss, creating an impression of a living blanket. As they reached the clearing, a sense of peace washed over them. An old wooden bench stood beneath a grand willows tree, its sprawling branches creating a sheltering canopy that shielded them from the rain. They sat together in tranquil silence, their attention drawn to the intricate patterns carved into the bench's wood, evidence of countless seasons that had passed. The air in the clearing carried with it an earthy fragrance, the mingling sense of damp earth, fresh leaves, and the delicate sweetness exuded by the blossoms overhead. Erindor broke the peaceful silence, his words weaving through the rain and wrapping around their hearts like a comforting embrace. He shared a tale of a little girl, found lost in the forest, guided by a lantern much like the one that hung above them now. The lantern's relentless light had led her through dense underbrush and across treacherous terrain, ensuring her safe return to her village. His voice filled with the wisdom of countless years, Erindor suggested that the lanterns might be lit by those who had already discovered their path, now illuminating the path for others. The rain had diminished to a delicate mist, a fine veil that seemed to envelop the entire meadow. The lantern stood tall, casting a warm glow amidst the encroaching twilight. As children played joyfully between the light bearers, the village inhabitants moved about with a sense of purpose, attending to their lantern duties with an air of tranquility. Back at the guest house, the cozy fire crackled softly, accompanied by the soothing sight of herbal tea steeping in delicate cups, its fragrance filling the room with a gentle blend of chamomile and lavender. Later, as Leora rested beneath the warmth of the quilt, her thoughts swirled through her mind, carrying images of the lantern suspended from the willow tree, the story of the lost child, and the unwavering dedication of the flame to its purpose. The rhythm of the rain on the roof became gradually slower and more disjointed, lulling her into a peaceful state of doziness. In the last fleeting moments before she surrendered to sleep, she caught a glimpse of the lantern's reflection in the window, a gentle sentinel watching over her as she ventured into the realm of dreams. In the morning, a subtle glimmer of silver light filtered through the continuing rain, casting an ethereal glow over the village. Leora and Erindor made their way towards the center of the market, following a path between wooden stalls that were nestled beneath expansive canvas awnings. Each awning held pools of raindrops, occasionally releasing them into containers below, creating a delicate symphony of quiet plinks against wood or metal. The atmosphere in the market was alive with a symphony of scents. The sweet scent of honey cakes cooling on a nearby table, the spicy steam rising from mugs of mulled cider, and the fresh, crisp fragrance of pine wood piled neatly nearby. As Leora and Erindor browsed the stalls, a kindly old woman caught her attention. She offered Leora a handmade lantern charm, each bead carefully selected to match the color of a true flame. "For your journey," she whispered, her voice radiating with understanding and certainty. They sought refuge from the drizzle in a small shop permeated by the rich scents of beeswax and dampened wood. Along the walls, towering shelves held an array of candles in various forms, some lofty and slender, others stout and rounded, still others twisted and curled into graceful spiraled shapes. The candlemaker, a gentle soul with nimble hands, tenderly ignited one of the candles, its soft, unwavering flame radiating an inviting golden circle of glow. that pervaded every nook and cranny of the cozy shop. The candlemaker patiently explained how each candle was meticulously crafted, infused with herbs and blooms gathered in new moonlight to evoke a subtler, softer luminescence. They burn slower, he explained, so you can savor the warmth. Leora picked a candle with a subtle fragrance of rosemary and sweet clover. She envisioned lighting it on a night much like this one, enveloped in the gentle patter of rain and the comforting presence of the candle's serene glow. As they meandered back from the market, they found themselves treading a narrow path that wound along the edge of a tranquil stream. The water there lay undisturbed, its surface only trembling where raindrops fell. Moss draped itself generously along the banks, providing a soft, yielding carpet for their boots. Minute schools of silver fish flitted within the dappled shadows of the overhanging foliage, their scales glimmering mysteriously in the ambient light. Together they perched upon a flat, smooth stone, savoring the remnants of the honey cake wrapped in still warm parchment. The rain had tapered off, reduced to a fine drizzle that draped the landscape with a soothing rhythm. Leora took a moment to reflect on the journey they had undertaken thus far. The enigmatic allure of the lanterns, the whispered stories that wove the path, and the way each step seemed to unroll at a deliberate, almost comforting tempo that neither rushed nor lagged, but remained in a perpetual state of just right. They followed the winding path that gradually led to a tranquil clearing. Nestled within it stood a quaint wooden pavilion, its roof fashioned with moss-hued shingles and adorned with delicate paper charms that danced gracefully in the breeze. A tea-master, garbed in a loose linen robe, tended a kettle positioned beside a charcoal brazier. The subtle fragrance of mint and chrysanthemum mingled with the rain-moistened air, creating an inviting atmosphere within the open-air shelter. Leora and Arendor found themselves seated upon finely woven mats, watching as the tea-master gracefully poured a steaming pale gold liquid into dainty cups no larger than a child's palm. The initial taste was both bright and floral, with a subtle sweet aftertaste that lingered gently. Within the pavilion, the silence was a gentle, almost sacred thing, punctuated only by the soft sounds of pouring liquid and the steady rhythm of falling rain. Words were unnecessary here. Even the stillness held its own quiet dialogue. The rain had now softened into a delicate, mist-like drizzle as they continued on their walk. There, they noticed villagers delicately placing lanterns upon tall poles and columns, their warm, unwavering glow cutting through the haze. Some lanterns were crafted from rice paper, painted with elegant ink illustrations depicting scenes of mountain peaks, soaring cranes, and rivers winding through verdant forests. Others showcased stained glass, their internal hues shifting gracefully between the colors of amber, rose, and sea green. In the pervasive mist, the lanterns seemed to float dreamily, their radiance enhanced by the ethereal fog. After the brief rain had stopped, they came upon a stone bridge that gracefully arced over a tranquil river, its steady flow barely creating a ripple. With each step they took on the bridge, a soft echo resonated softly, the sound hanging in the air just a touch longer than natural. Leora found herself involuntarily slowing her pace, listening intently to the echo as if the very river itself was responding in a hushed, private language of its own. Halfway across the span, they paused to observe the heron standing motionless in the shallow waters, its movements so sluggish and deliberate that even the ripples it caused, and gradually evening gave way to true night, lacking a distinct boundary between the fading light of twilight and the gentle darkness that enveloped the landscape. Up in the sky, the once obscured stars were now exposed, their twinkling forms slightly muted by a thin veil of lingering mist. In the distance behind them, the village appeared as a collection of lantern lights, resembling a celestial grouping that had descended to earth. Ahead, the winding path unfurled into obscurity, yet both Leora and Arendor appeared in no rush to venture forth. Hand in hand, they continued their stroll, accompanied only by the gentle rhythm of their footsteps against the damp earth and the faint, remote sound of unseen streams nearby. Occasionally a water droplet would detach from the leaves above and land softly upon their shoulders, offering a cool yet strangely pleasant touch. In the tranquility of this journey, the sensation of moving between places gave way to a profound sense of being precisely where they were meant to be at that very instant, beneath the rain-kissed night sky. As they walked, Their breaths mingled in the cool night air, and their footsteps left no impression in the soft mud. The path curved gently up a hill, and they followed it to the highest point. From there, they could see the full expanse of the village below, a cluster of tiny lanterns flickering like distant stars in the misty dark. A soft breeze blew over them, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and pine, and rustling the tops of the trees like a quiet whisper. For a moment, they simply stood there, looking, listening, breathing. For what felt like hours or merely seconds, they stood together on the hilltop, soaking in the serene beauty all around them. The village, a collection of tiny lanterns, reminded them of a celestial cluster that had been cast down to earth. A gentle breeze blew by, carrying with it the earthy pine-scented perfume of the surrounding environment, and causing the treetops to whisper softly in response, as if engaged in a hushed conversation. In the quiet stillness, they both stood, observing and exhaling, utterly present in the moment. The hill remained quiet and still, broken only by the occasional rustle of the trees in the soft breeze. There, amid the silent, star-filled night, they sat, the cool air caressing their cheeks. In the distance, the village continued its gentle flickering, each lantern a small, bright beacon of comfort. Slowly, a sense of tranquility settled over them. The worries of the outside world seemed to drift away, leaving only this quiet moment of connection and presence. Time seemed inconsequential here, like a river they were free to ride without destination or anchor. They sat in that tranquility for what could have been minutes or days. The night sky unfurled above them, a dark canvas stitched with billions of distant stars. The distant glow of the lanterns seemed to join their twinkle, adding their soft light to the vast display. All around them, life continued to breathe and grow. The trees whispered. The night wore on, and still, they sat, their eyes fixed on the stars, their souls drinking in the profound peace that surrounded them. The breeze caressed their skin, bringing with it the crisp scent of pine, and the soft sound of crickets whispering in the distance. Occasionally, a leaf would fall gently to the ground, breaking the silence with a soft rustle, only to be replaced by the gentle lull of the wind. In that moment, it seemed they were the only ones awake in the entire world, wrapped in the comforting embrace of the night's ancient ritual. The darkness deepened, and still they remained, the soft sound of their breathing mingling with the soft rhythm of the world around them. The stars continued their slow, unhurried dance across the sky, joined occasionally by a fleeting cloud that cast their shadows upon the earth. The lanterns of the village continued to flicker like fireflies from another realm, their light a gentle counterpoint to the celestial display above. In this intimate solitude, they found their thoughts unhurried and peaceful, each one given time to grow and change like a seed in fertile soil. The night had grown older, though the passage of time was marked only by the slow, steady swing of the stars in the sky. The soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant hoot of an owl, and the soft chirping of crickets, all of it blended into a hushed symphony. From time to time, they would look at each other without words, their eyes speaking volumes in the dark. In those moments, they were not just two individuals, but fragments of the same whole, bound together by something older than spoken language. As the night deepened even further, the world fell into a state of almost absolute quiet, the only sounds now being the soft whisper of the wind and the occasional rustle of an animal in the distance. The stars above seemed to grow brighter, as though in direct response to the deepening night. The lanterns in the village twinkled like tiny embers, their light a reminder of the small, fragile beauty amidst the vast, unforgiving night. In the midst of this profound silence, the simple act of being together seemed to take on a profound importance. Each breath they took was a gift. The final hours of the night passed silently, a whisper of time in the grand symphony of the universe. The moon, now high and full, cast a silver glow over the landscape. Shadows danced slowly across the earth, the quiet rhythm of the night undisturbed by anything other than their own hushed breaths and the rare whisper of the wind. They remained seated, their faces lit by the silvery light, their spirits wrapped in a blanket of quiet contemplation. A profound sense of peace surrounded them, as though the very world were holding its breath, waiting for something to break the spell. Finally, the first hints of dawn began to break through the darkness. A faint brightening of space beyond the horizon. The black canvas of the night sky gradually faded into a pale gray, and the stars began to wane one by one, as though reluctantly retiring to their celestial beds. The air was cool and crisp, holding a faint promise of a new day. The wind had died to nothing, and the world was utterly silent, holding its breath in anticipation. The day began slowly, the pale light of dawn spreading as if someone had opened a curtain. The world was beginning to stir. The sound of birds singing a morning song, the soft rustle of leaves as the breeze returned. Leora and Arendor stood and looked at each other. The night's journey was over, but the peace it had gifted them remained, tucked deep in their hearts, waiting to be remembered in quieter moments. The tranquility of the night embraced the quaint mountain village of Myris Hollow, enveloping everything in a soothing stillness. Lanterns cast a warm, flickering light, their golden and honey-hued radiance softly illuminating the cobblestone streets. A thin veil of mist hung delicately in the air, gently softening the outlines of rooftops and gardens, creating a sense of cozy enchantment. At the edge of the village, where the road sloped toward the forest, an old stone cottage stood steadfast, the warm glow of its windows beckoning through the darkness. The stillness of the night enveloped the quaint mountain village of Myris Hollow. Lanterns cast a warm golden glow onto the cobblestone streets, the flickering lights dancing in shades of honey and gold. A thin veil of mist gently hovered in the air, delicately softening the edges of the peaked rooftops, the winding streets, and the small gardens, their blankets of dew making them appear like small, slumbering mounds. On the outskirts of the village, where the road curved toward the forest, stood an aged stone cottage. The windows glimmered softly, emitting a gentle aura. Eldrin, the ever-dependable lantern keeper, tended to the enchanted lanterns of Myris Hollow, illuminating the roads and keeping away the darkness and its hidden dwellers. Night, however, he had an unexpected guest, Lyra, a young traveler adorned with a patchwork cloak, her boots still bearing traces of the late evening's rain. Her eyes gleamed with a curiosity typical of someone encountering this tranquil mountain village for the first time. Lyra's puzzled expression gave way to intrigue as Eldrin carefully retrieved a small shimmering object from a wooden box on the mantel. The crystal shard, no larger than his thumb, emitted a gentle blue light. This, Eldrin began, holding the glowing object gently, is a light seed. Without it, our enchanted lanterns lose their illuminant power. When this happens, the forest gradually forgets about the people who reside here. Curiosity sparked in Lyra's eyes. Forget? She echoed. As the rain tapped at the windows, Lyra listened intently to Eldrin's tale. The plan for the night was clear. They would embark on a lantern path, replacing lightseed crystals and uttering ancient blessings beneath the moonlit sky. The thought of witnessing the forest's elusive inhabitants added a touch of excitement, intertwining with anticipation. A shiver ran down Lyra's spine, although it remained unclear whether it was due to adrenaline or the ambient chill in the air. With a firm nod, she answered, yes. The lanterns cast a soft, golden glow, illuminating the path and the surrounding moss with a delicate brilliance. The wispy mist embraced the surroundings, gently caressing every surface and creating the impression that time itself had slowed, encouraging an unhurried pace. A rhythmic pitter-patter of rain began, initially hesitant, then growing more consistent. The sound harmoniously merged with the rustling leaves, the sighing branches, and the faint burbling of a nearby creek, melding into a soothing symphony that lulled the senses. At an aging sign, the woods slightly worn by both sun and rain, two options beckoned, Moonpetal Hollow or the Silverleaf Inn, both promising respite. The scent of wood smoke wafted gently in the air, coming from the direction of the latter. As you chose the path to the Silverleaf Inn, droplets of rain cascaded through gaps in the leaves, cooling your skin with each kiss. The sound of rain magnified, enveloping you entirely with its gentle, lulling presence, reminiscent of a soft auditory embrace. As you made your way toward the inn, the silhouette of a cozy building emerged, shielded by the graceful canopy of an ancient willow tree. The branches danced rhythmically, swaying like a lulling melody. The lantern light cascaded across the rain-soaked stones, causing the puddles to glimmer with a golden brilliance. Within the inn, the air carried the comforting scent of fresh bread and herbal tea, and the fireplace crackled with warm glowing logs. The innkeeper, with her silvery tresses and an autumn-hued shawl, welcomed your arrival with a warm smile that invoked a sense of belonging. You allowed yourself to bask in the comforting warmth, savoring each sip of the lavender-honeyed tea. The inn was hushed, with only subtle creaks of wood and the gentle rustle of the willow tree outside, hinting at the passage of time. Your gaze wandered to a quaint corner where a collection of well-worn, leather-bound books occupied a small shelf. Though the spines were worn, the presence of the books exuded a sense of comfort, as if each one held memories of travelers who had sought refuge there before. Your fingers delicately grazed over the spines until they settled upon a deep blue tome speck. You returned to the table, the scent of aged paper mingling with the sweet and soothing vapor of the lavender tea. The words upon the page seemed to float effortlessly through your mind rather than demanding intense focus, and the tales whispered of faraway lands and gentle heroes set to light by lantern. Before long, the book rested gently in your lap as your eyelids gradually began to grow heavy. The innkeeper's voice, a soft whisper, gently broke the tranquil atmosphere. "Your room is ready," she murmured. "Follow me when you're ready, dear." The corridor stretching beyond the warm hearth was enveloped in a delicate dimness, the only source of illumination being the faint, amber-tinted light emanating from the small wall lanterns. The innkeeper led the way to a door at the end of the hall, its surface meticulously carved with a serene depiction of a moon. Inside, the room exuded an air of cleanliness and comfort, the scent of pine wood blending with the crisp, clean scent of linen. Upon the bed, a meticulously stitched quilt lay spread, its deep blue and soft gold hues reminiscent of the night sky. The soothing hum of the innkeeper's song mingled softly with the pitter-patter of the rain, creating a gentle soundscape that echoed throughout the corridors. The warmth of the quilt enveloped you, providing a comforting embrace that grounded you in the present moment. As you lay beneath the cozy duvet, you listened intently to the gentle rhythm of the raindrops, as if echoing the soothing heartbeat of the world outside. And then an unfamiliar sound pierced the quiet. A deep, soft note from an owl drifted through the slightly open window, bringing with it a sense of calm reassurance. A wave of tranquility washed over you, bringing with it a sense of weightlessness, akin to being suspended between sleep and wakefulness. The thoughts that flitted through your mind were like feathers gently alighting on a quiet surface, their presence acknowledged yet not clung upon. The soft glow of the bedside lantern cast a golden light on the wooden walls, causing each shadow to waver and dance like a gentle dance of light and dark. Now a soft drizzle whispered a delicate tune, its sound mingling with the trickling of water along the roof's gutters. Your breathing became synchronized with the comforting rhythm of the sounds pervading the atmosphere, matching their tempo with a steady, unhurried cadence. A solitary candle on the shelf flickered gently, casting a soft, warm glow, its flame dancing gracefully in the subtle draft. Your gaze settled upon the flicker, and your focus sharpened on the mesmerizing dance of the fire, lulling you deeper into a state of ultimate relaxation. The wavering candlelight cast flickering shadows on the wall, resembling distant landscapes moving silently against the dimly lit environment. The occasional creak of the wooden beams overhead joined the silent symphony, as if the very building joined in the soothing lullaby of tranquility. A subtle and lingering scent drifted from the kitchen below, a memory from hours ago when freshly baked loaves of bread had filled the air with a comforting aroma. Though faded, the fragrance lingered, a reminder of the nourishment and warmth that the inn had offered, of a haven where care and security were never lacking. The village was swathed in a gentle silence, the cobbled streets now glistening under the pale glow of moonlight that graced the area. The distant, rhythmic rhythm of a cartwheel turning upon the rain-soaked stones echoed faintly before being consumed by the stillness once more. Your thoughts floated effortlessly as your body sank comfortably into the bed, the weight of the cover providing a steady, reassuring presence akin to a caring friend's steady hand resting on your shoulder. The gentle nighttime breeze drifted through the window, carrying with it the invigorating smell of moist leaves and freshly dampened earthy terrain. The rain had now mellowed into a light, almost imperceptible mist, its soft pitter-patter on the roof sounding like a hushed whisper. Nearby, the soothing trickle of water could be heard slowly making its way toward a small drainage outlet, the steady rhythm acting like a melodic lullaby. In your semi-conscious state, You envisioned the inn as an outside observer might perceive it. Warm, welcoming lights emanating through the windows, and a safe haven for perhaps the inn boasted a separate stable attached to the main building, housing a pair of docile horses that gently swished their tails in contented tranquility with each delicate movement. The aroma of fresh hay permeated the air, blending with the subtle scent of water, reminding all who sought refuge within the inn's walls that life here thrived at a steady and unhurried cadence. As you gently extinguished the lantern on your bedside table, allowing the room to embrace the comforting shroud of shadows, the bed beneath you felt increasingly more accommodating, as if it was gradually contouring itself to the unique shape of your body. With each drawn breath, the weight of your body seemed to increase, causing your fingers to relax and your arms to sink deeper into the embrace of the comfortable mattress. The muscles of your face became increasingly relaxed, as the tension in your face gave way to a look of complete relaxation. Your mind began to wander, transported to the scene before your arrival at the inn. The memory of strolling along a tranquil lane in the late afternoon, illuminated by the slowly setting sun that cast a warm glow across the skies, danced through your thoughts. The delicate fragrance of flowers, with a scent that escaped your recollection, wafted gently in the distance. The sight of the inn materialized, its warm and welcoming aura exuding from the brightly lit lanterns that adorned its exterior. The memory of the inn's door gliding open with a faint creak, followed by the warm embrace of the inn's air, enveloped you once again. Now, in this tranquil inn, you relished in the safety it provided, wrapped in cozy solitude. A deep-seated contentment settled within you, and a sense of profound stillness took hold. Time seemed to lose its relevance as the quiet intensified. The flickering flame of the candle, now reduced to a small, steadfast, you listened to the distant toll of a bell. It may have been from the clock tower in the village center. Its note hung in the night air, gradually fading as the sound dissipated. The tolling of the bell did not signal any urgent or pressing matter. It was merely a gentle reminder of the natural rhythm of time in this place, where the need to meticulously track time became an antiquated concept. Your breathing had slowed, harmoniously synchronizing with the tranquil tempo of the night. Each inhale was deep and measured, followed by slow and even exhales. The rain continued its serene serenade, gently tapping against the windows of the cozy Silverwood Inn. The lantern's soft glow danced upon the puddles gathered on the ground outside, the rippling effect almost reminiscent of golden coins floating on water. Ilara sat nestled in a sumptuously plush chair, her gaze fixated on the mesmerizing spectacle created by the dancing flames. Across from her, the old sorcerer known as Master Thalin engaged in a simple yet meditative activity, diligently carving symbols into a piece of driftwood, a souvenir he had discovered during a recent stroll down the shore. The old sorcerer, Master Thalin, delicately carved runes into the driftwood, his murmurs carrying a hint of wisdom. The words, runes of safe passage, were spoken softly, as if in dialogue with the very wood itself. Rowan, the young warrior, stood against the far wall, cradling a steaming cup of spiced tea in his hands. He quietly inquired, "Do you believe that come morning the roads will be passable?" Thalen took a moment, blowing away the wooden shavings before replying, "If the rain permits it, yes. But sometimes, the road should wait for." Ilara's smile widened, appreciating the charm of the notion that the world might slow down, even briefly, to allow time for respite and tranquility. A small black and white cat, evidently the inn's resident, leaped onto Ilara's lap and nestled there, its soft fur and comforting weight lulling her into a state of further relaxation. Master Thalen's voice pierced the cozy ambience, carrying with it the steady authority of one who had witnessed numerous storms. He began to weave a tale. Long ago, in a place not so different from this one, with each word, Master Thalen's voice spun a web of tales, each one more intriguing than the last. He spoke with such a tranquil cadence, it was as if the very syllables carried whispers of dreams. The room fell under a spell, and the rain on the windows took on a magical rhythm, each drop a small note in the orchestra. Minutes passed, unnoticed and unheeded. The cups of tea sat untouched, their steam rising into the air like the whispers of the fire, now reduced to a soft glow. When Master Thalen concluded his intricate tale, Rowan's eyes grew heavy, and his gaze wandered in a dreamy manner. Ilara, now with her head comfortably resting against the back of her chair, breathed deeply and evenly. The night enveloped the inn in a peaceful embrace, the steady pitter-patter of the rain acting as a soothing lullaby. It felt as if time had lost its relevance within this quaint haven. The outside world could wait, and for the moment, they were content to remain within the sanctuary of the inn's warm walls. The path continued to weave its labyrinthine course through the depths of the vale. The trees stood closer together now, their tangled roots resembling a gathering of aged hands clasped in friendship. The air was significantly cooler here, and the mist, as if birthed from the very breath of the land itself, danced gently as it swirled between the trees. The lantern held by Leora cast a soft, warm glow ahead, its light catching each droplet of mist, causing them to shimmer in an array of beautiful colors. They paused upon reaching a stone bridge, its surface etched with age and adorned with the lush green moss. The rhythmic whisper of the silver stream, flowing smoothly over smooth stones, blended harmoniously with the soft patter of falling rain. Elendor gently placed his hand on the railing, his eyes closing as he spoke softly. This bridge has endured for centuries, long predating the kingdom of Aurelia. It has witnessed far more footsteps than we could ever hope to count. Leora leaned over the bridge, her gaze fixed on the shimmering waters below. With a soft voice, she inquired, "Do you think this bridge remembers everyone who crossed it?" Elendor pondered her question before replying, "I believe it does, not just their footsteps, but their stories too." They remained there for a moment, ensconced in the gentle tranquility bestowed upon them by the bridge. Meanwhile, past the ancient bridge, they ventured into the enchanting grove of wishing leaves, a place where, as evening descended, delicate golden leaves silently glided to the ground, leaving behind a trail of fleeting. Leora delicately reached out, gently capturing a falling golden leaf in her hand. She closed her eyes, made a silent wish, and upon opening her hand, the leaf dissolved, leaving an ephemeral glow behind. They continued on their way, treading silently, until they reached a small clearing illuminated by the ancient oak standing majestically at its center. Elendor laid a soft blanket on the ground, and they settled under the protective branches of the old tree. Here, the forest spread out like a vast darkened ocean, now veiled beneath a misty silvery night sky. Somewhere deep within the distance, a nightbird's melodic tune echoed softly, gently spiraling throughout the forest. The cozy crackle of the fire joined the soothing pitter-patter of the rain, blending harmoniously to create a symphony that lulled the weary minds and soothed the souls both of the listeners and the nightbird. Time slipped by as they stayed, witnessing the forest's slow-breathing motions, observing the drifting clouds, and reveling in the certainty that at this very moment, everything was perfect and in its proper place. As night settled further, the air grew cooler, a refreshing relief from the day's humidity. The sky, now a canvas of deep blue, was adorned with stars that twinkled brightly like delicate lanterns dancing in the darkness. Leora was now situated at the water's edge, seated comfortably atop a bed of soft, mossy plushness. Her lantern cast a comforting glow, painting a warm, comforting circle that illuminated the immediate surroundings. The sounds of rain and small ripples on the lakeside created a soothing melodic rhythm as fish occasionally emerged from the inky blackness, momentarily catching the silver light of the moon before disappearing into the. Leora inhaled deeply, closing her eyes as the rain gently cascaded across her skin, rinsing away the day's stress. Every single drop of rain was a note in a soothing symphony, a melodic composition that had been echoing through time immemorial, whispered by the very clouds themselves. In the background, Arendor was tending the fire lit solely to create a scene that resembled tiny fireflies dancing in the falling rain, casting sparks into the air. The crackling of firewood as raindrops touched it filled the air, releasing the soft, calming fragrance of cedarwood. The world seemed to hold its breath, as if time itself paused for a moment. The trees, although gently swayed, held their leaves aloft with a delicate balance that allowed each one to catch and hold a perfect tear of rain. The resulting reflection of the lantern light, mirrored in the droplets, created an array of shimmering lights that seemed to pulse and dance just beneath the surface. From the far depths of the forest, a low, distant call echoed softly and unhurriedly, as if even the animals recognized that this moment should remain undisturbed. Leora pondered the road that lay ahead and the age-old promise they had pledged themselves to uphold. But here, in this moment, all urgency seemed to subside. The road and the world could wait. All that mattered, for now, was the soothing lull of the rain, the comfort of companionship, and the eternal beauty of the night that seemed to stretch on forever. From across the placid waters, A faint melodious chime broke through the ambient hush of the surrounding atmosphere. Neither of them could pinpoint the source of this silvery sound, yet the lingering note hung in the air, like a whisper carried forth by an unseen breeze. Arendor glanced up, his face adorned with a slight smile. "Can you hear it?" he inquired, his voice barely above the ambient quiet. Leora nodded softly, her voice just as soft. "Yes," she replied, her eyes taking in the misty scene before them. The mist gracefully floated over the lake, its soft tendrils creating delicate and slender ribbons that caressed the surface of the water. Leora leaned back, her body relaxing upon the soft, comfortable plushness of the moss beneath her. The lantern, now placed nearby, emitted a steady flame, its light softly flickering in response to the gentle breeze that occasionally stirred the air. The heavenly entities above appeared closer than ever, filling the night sky with a breathtaking display, as if a celestial canopy had descended, drawing the stars ever nearer to earth. Leora closed her eyes, her body completely relaxed as she surrendered herself to Arendor's soft, steady voice. It was as if each word he spoke was a gentle caress, a soothing balm for her weary soul. He was narrating a mesmerizing tale of the legendary Star Bridge, a pathway of pure light that lay hidden from ordinary eyes, only to manifest itself to those who walked with an open and tranquil heart. The silence, momentarily broken by the crackling of the fire, quickly returned to its cozy embrace. The comforting scent of damp earth, mingling with the fragrance of blossoming night blossoms, filled the space, carrying with it occasional croaks from frogs, their calls reverberating in a peaceful dialogue, as if they were engaged in a slow and languid conversation. Arendor's words continued to flow, echoing in the tranquil night, while Leora's smile remained unwavering, her eyes still gently closed. In that moment, the path held no allure as the night itself held them in its comforting grasp. A gentle breeze, filled with the faint fragrance of rain-kissed pine, caressed their surroundings. The mist lazily unraveled, revealing the faint outline of distant mountains, their peaks gleaming silver under the soft illumination of the moon. The landscape took on a serene, almost dreamlike aura, as if it had been meticulously painted by unseen hands. The once steady rhythm of the rain transformed to a gentle pitter-patter, the drops now light and caressing, the sound of a single drop striking the moss, barely perceptible in the stillness. Arendor's voice, soft and blending with the natural elements, continued to weave its soothing tale. The lantern's gentle glow dimmed, less from the flame fading, and more because their weary eyes, heavy with the weight of sleep, allowed the encroaching darkness to grow. They rested in the tranquil space between consciousness and dreams, where the world still held a watchful presence, every tree a steadfast guardian, and each ripple on the surface of the water a silent promise of peace. In this hushed moment, time lost its relevance as the future, the road ahead, faded away. As the night deepened, Arendor's soothing tale wove together with the rhythmic sounds of the surrounding forest, lulling Leora and him deeper into a liminal space where time seemed to have little significance. They remained there, in the comforting embrace of the moment, wrapped in the stillness of the night. As they surrendered to the gentle pull of sleep, the only sound in this moment was the occasional call of nocturnal creatures, and the soft whisper of the night breeze as it stirred the leaves of the trees. Leora's eyes fluttered, the weight of sleep slowly beginning to overpower her, her thoughts dissolving into a hazy dreamlike state. The faint sound of her breathing mingled with the rhythmic croaks of the frogs, creating a lullaby of the forest's nocturnal inhabitants. In her state of half-consciousness, she felt the ground shift as Arendor moved closer to her, his body heat radiating warmth in the cool night air. Arendor's movements drew him closer, his presence a comforting presence in the darkness. Leora felt the ground beneath her shift as he settled into the soft embrace of the moss, their bodies now almost touching. The night continued to hold them in its gentle clutch, as if the world itself were unwilling to break the delicate spell of quietude that had settled over them. Arendor's hand, seeking comfort, reached out and brushed against Leora's, their fingers gently intertwined, the subtle touch creating a connection that seemed to transcend the physical realm. The night drew on, the silence only occasionally broken by the soft rustle of leaves as the breeze passed through the trees. Leora's head gently nestled against Arendor's arm, their bodies now close enough that they could feel the steady rhythm of each other's breath. Their bodies now lay closer, their limbs gently tangled in a moment of quiet intimacy. Leora's head rested comfortably against Arendor's arm, her hair a silken drape across his skin. Silence enveloped them like a warm embrace, the only sound being their steady breaths, a quiet and soothing lullaby that intertwined with the sounds of the night. With every moment that passed, the world around them seemed to recede further away, as if time itself had forgotten them in this tranquil moment. The steady rhythm of their breathing, in unison with the gentle night breeze, became a soothing symphony, a testament to their intimate bond. Arendor's body shifted slightly, his arm encircling Leora's waist, pulling her closer in an almost protective gesture. They were now pressed against each other, the warmth radiating between them blending with the cool night air to create a cocoon of comfort and security. Leora closed her eyes, surrendering herself entirely to the tranquility of the moment. She felt Arendor's arm tighten ever so slightly around her waist, pulling her even closer, until their bodies were perfectly aligned. The warmth of his breath danced across her cheek, a tender reminder of his proximity. Her fingers gently traced gentle patterns across his chest, almost as if by instinct, a silent language they both understood without words. Lost in the moment, Leora's fingers continued their gentle exploration of Arendor's chest, as if tracing invisible patterns only they could decipher. Her fingertips brushed delicately against his clothes, gently caressing him with a tenderness that was both soothing and electrifying. Arendor's grip on her waist only tightened, his hand finding itself a home against the small of her back. With every breath, they moved closer, their forms fitting together like two pieces of a puzzle, perfectly intertwined in this stolen moment. As the night continued to envelop them in its gentle embrace, Leora felt Arendor's heart beat against her, a steady rhythm that echoed the pace of his breath. Their bodies were pressed together, every curve and contour molded to one another, a seamless fusion of flesh and heat. His hand, still resting possessively against the small of her back, held her closer, as if every inch of distance between them was an unacceptable chasm. Leora's fingers continued their subtle ministrations on his chest, tracing lazy circles that seemed to synchronize with the rise and fall of his diaphragm. In the intimate silence that enveloped them, Leora's fingers continued to paint tender patterns on Arendor's chest, their touch a silent testament to the quiet understanding that existed between them. The world seemed to fade away as they moved together in gentle synchronization, their bodies fitting like pieces of a puzzle, each muscle, bone, and curve finding its perfect match. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, their breathing synchronized, their hearts beating in rhythm. In those moments, time held no control to them,